to the Scenic Route. This is our very first episode. Very exciting. The Scenic Route is a podcast where guests take us on a journey. This journey is the journey they took to get to the job that they are in now. This first episode is with Michael Stern. Thanks for joining us, Michael.
Pleasure.
I guess the first thing is, what do you do? What's your job?
Yeah, quite a few. I'm a father. I'm a husband. But
That's the beginning of a song, is it?
Yeah.
Lover and a fighter?
Yeah, love it on a No, look, at Pymble Ladies College, I've been here since 2014. My role at the moment is English teacher and head of year 12, soon to be head of year 7, which will be a very different experience.
Oh, that's right. So you do the journey, don't you?
Do the journey.
I guess let's start from the beginning. Your first job, what was it? And do you have any funny stories or anything like that?
There's a few things. You know, I did soccer coaching when I was in school. I did swimming coaching when I was in school. But I guess what I'm thinking about is the first job out of school that I had when I was, studying and trying to survive. Then I was a theatre orderly at Hunters Hill Private Hospital. Yeah.
Oh, not like theatre is in la la la.
No.
In hospital.
So I'd wheel people in and out between surgeries, clean all the equipment. It was a real wake up call. Look, in terms of funny stories, it's just seeing people quite nervous and vulnerable, and then coming out of the anaesthetic being like, that was fine. That wasn't an issue at all. Yeah, it was really a really good wake-up call for me as like a North Shore kid living in a very sheltered world, seeing people at, the best and worst in their life. Even though I was just wheeling them around the hospital, I was their point of initial contact. So, yeah, it was an interesting job. I actually really enjoyed that job. Out of all my, pre-career jobs, that was probably my favourite, I think.
I don't know anyone that's done that job before, and especially that early in their career path.
Yeah.
Did you ever think about then going into hospitals or medicine or anything like that?
No, I'm the only one in my family, bar one or two, that isn't a doctor. So it was quickly encouraged not to go down the medical path. And at that point in my life, I don't think I had the academic acumen or how would you say, dedication to go down that path at that point in my life.
You were talking about jobs before your proper out of school job, first one. A lot of sport involved then, so soccer and swimming.
Yeah, they were my passions growing up, soccer and swimming. I went to Knox Grammar School and did all the holiday camps and loved it. It was my world. And I got offered to do some soccer coaching when I was in year 10 or 11 in the holidays. And that was probably where I got my first taste of teaching, I think, and where it kind of first tweaked in my head that education might be something for me. And I then just put it on the back burner for a decade. I just ignored it.
And what did your family think? You were saying they're all doctors. Did they go?
Yeah.
Were they encouraging the teaching route?
Yeah. My mum was a teacher. It's either doctors or teachers in my family. My mum was a teacher, and they were really big on just letting you carve your own path, trying to guide here and there. But very, very encouraging of teaching, definitely.
So you were hospital orderly or theatre orderly?
Theatre orderly.
What was the next step? Because I think I remember hearing something about soccer.
Yeah. So look, when I was fresh out of school, I didn't actually do very well in school. It's weirdly something that I wear as a badge of honour.
I'm the same. I didn't either.
I did terrible.
Yeah. Let's not compare HSC marks, because I reckon I might win.
I don't know.
We're not doing that. But it shows that you don't. School is important. Totally. Learning is important.
Yeah.
And I think that lifelong learning love for is really important. But a mark isn't always the thing you need.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I think what I got out of school mostly was soft skills and how to network, how to talk to people, how to be confident in your own skin. But yeah, look, I didn't do well at all in school, and I decided to do some initial study in social work at TAFE, and that's what I did. I started in social work and I got a diploma. In that time, I was playing soccer or football, however we want to call it.
So my house is football.
Yeah, let's call it football. I prefer that.
But we know we're kicking around the round ball.
Kicking the round thing in the rectangle.
Yeah.
So
we're probably going to it at some stage, but anyone that's seen your car will know you're a big
American
NFL
football
fan.
Yeah,
So we're not talking that. We're not talking the pigskin. We're talking the
round ball.
soccer ball.
Yeah, that was a huge part of my life. And out of school, I was playing at a really quite a good level, a semi-professional level, out at Sydney Olympic and Canterbury Marrickville. And
that'd be Sydney FC now? Would it be that kind of?
Oh, it'd be the level below that.
Okay.
Now.
Yeah, wow.
So it was like what we call now National Premier League. So state-based league was before the A-League. It was actually the season before the A-League, or 2 seasons came into fruition. So yeah, look, and I had this thing in my head. I was actually born in the US. My parents were working over there. So I had a US passport, which makes things a lot easier when you're wanting to go and study over there. I'd always had it in my head that I wanted the US college experience, and I knew that football was my ticket. So I, back in those days, we're talking 2003, was the early days of recruiting companies where they would basically market you as a student athlete. And so I did that. I got a video made. This was all when it was DVDs, even VHS. I got
the little recorder.
Yeah. So I got a video made and it got put up on the internet, and coaches just started contacting hey, we need a goalkeeper.
So a goalkeeper?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, so I got in touch with a college in Cleveland, Ohio called Notre Dame, and I ended up going over I studied there for 4 years and played there as well. Yeah, it was an amazing experience. But look, my initial area of study was communications and history. Still got that passion for history, even though I'm an English teacher, and history technically. But I went over there and lived the dream. It was the best experience of my life. Just best experience.
And you said Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Or am I saying it right? Because I'm a massive Rudy. If you've not seen the movie Rudy.
Rudy, of course.
Yeah. He went to Notre Dame. So you're fighting Irish?
Yeah. So it's weird with soccer. So they've got different divisions, and my school was an affiliate of the big one.
Yeah.
We were in Cleveland, Ohio, whereas the main Notre Dame, as the Americans call it, is in South Bend, Indiana.
Okay.
So we were sort of not far away, but on a satellite campus, so to speak, where soccer was and a few other sports, lacrosse. But yeah, I would say that was my point where I learned how to learn. I think it's, maturity plays a role with young men as well. I think we need to be in situations where we're encouraged to fail, really. And the American system really suited me at that point in my life.
Encouraged to fail.
Yeah, because everything, I know at unis here, it's mostly big lectures, right? And then shoots. Over there, everything is a shoot. And so you have this really close relationship with your professors and then the classes are no bigger than 15, So it's a really intimate environment, and and I'm still in touch with 3 or 4 of my professors. I, chat with them regularly. So it's an environment that suited my learning needs and I guess my development and to understand how I learn. And, that is a lifelong thing, but it's definitely gotten to a point where I know how I operate and know what my strengths are. And America was great. American college system was great for that, for me.
So you being head of year 12, that must be an advantage when girls are coming saying, I'm thinking of going to this university.
Yeah.
There's a scholarship possibly. Do you have a bit of insight?
I think so.
Knowledge?
Yeah, the process is so different to anything here. There's something called an NCAA clearinghouse, which basically checks your eligibility to make sure you've never been a professional, and you've got to go through that, and you've got to do your SATs, and it's a real process. But I think that the hardest thing with like giving advice around US college is tempering expectations, because students will come and talk to you about it and they've all got like bright lights in their eyes, and they're like, I'm going to go to a Division 1 university. And each division, there's 3, has different pros and cons, and it is so hard to get into a Division 1 university.
Are we talking is that Harvard?
Well,
no sport. We're talking sport.
We're talking sport. That's more. We're talking more like Notre Dame.
Yeah,
like that's a big D1 school. Like, it depends what you need, right? Like there's different things that they offer. The D1 schools can't offer that much financially in terms of scholarship, but they've got a huge name. The D2 schools can offer heaps financially, but they don't have that like big name that people are asking for.
Yeah.
There's pros and cons for each, and it kind of depends where your focus is. But, you know, we all watch the movies. And everyone...
Rudy. If you haven't, pause the podcast, go and find it on one of the streaming services.
Come back.
Watch it, come back.
You'll get it.
It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, so it really depends, but it can be, I guess, just tempering expectations.
So you did communications at Notre Dame.
Yep.
And you finished that there? Did you finish your degree there?
Yeah, I finished that there, and then in my last year, I got an internship, summer internship. This was the summer before I graduated. Yeah, at Good Morning America in New York.
Wow.
Yeah, that was cool.
Let's just pause for a second. So Good Morning America is like the Today Show here on steroids.
Yeah.
Like everyone watches it, don't they? It's a huge show.
ABC. And at that point, it was with a journalist called Diane Sawyer, who was like, you know, everyone, the Diane Sawyer, right?
Yeah.
It was crazy. Like, I worked so closely with her just as an intern over a summer, and yeah, incredible experience. Got to meet lots of really, really interesting and well-known people. And
can you give us one or two that they might go, oh, you met that person?
Yeah, Matt Damon, Paul McCartney.
Okay, that was two. There were two of the biggest names.
Queen Latifah. She was lovely.
If I could meet one, I reckon Paul McCartney would be on my top 5.
He was...
I'll
tell you, Matt Damon was like the nicest bloke I've ever met.
Okay.
He was very curious about
what was he filming that?
I think it was like around once. It was just after The Departed.
Okay.
I think.
That had a massive buzz.
Yeah. That's what got him big.
Yeah.
And Leonardo DiCaprio, yeah. So look, my job at that point was to spend time with their publicists, saying these are what we're going to be asking, these are the questions, because it's all like vetted.
Yeah, this is what you can't.
This is what you can't.
If you ask that, he's storming off.
Exactly, Tom Cruise storm off. Yeah. So we go through the questions. It was a quick thing, but you really got insight into what people are like at 5 a.m.
Paul seems like maybe not the nicest man at 5 a.m.
You know, I didn't say it.
No,
you did.
So you were there, you were interning.
Yeah.
Real life experience. And I think that's probably, did you learn huge amounts?
Huge. Just so much about how TV news in particular works, because it's a very different way of writing. And it was really cool because I was there over 4th of July. And so they gave me my own opportunity to produce my own story, for the weekend show. And so I did this thing where, I don't know, I was always curious about fireworks. So we went to
we can't, they're banned here.
Yeah, totally.
They're massive there.
Huge there.
Like the statistic of people dying with them is nuts, isn't it? And that's why we don't have them.
Yeah, rightfully so.
Their amendment rights are probably
a Second Amendment right.
Yeah.
But yeah, we went, and it was cool because it was my first time organising something that I know would go to air. We went and interviewed the people that make the fireworks. We went to where they set them up for 4th of July. I learned so much about fireworks. It was very random, but and I had my own. I was probably producing it, and I had someone called Biana Goldriga, who was quite early in her career, who's now massive at CNN. So her and I worked on this story together over a couple of days, and
on camera then, or
she was on camera. I wasn't.
So you were writing.
I wrote it, set it up, logistics.
Did you get to launch some fireworks in the background as she was speaking?
I got to press the button. There's a button that you press, and that was fun.
Do you have much more of a appreciation for the fireworks on the Harbour Bridge and stuff?
Oh, for sure. And it's really interesting meeting these people who have these niche jobs and these niche careers, because I was talking to this one guy and he was like so obviously like a pyro, just loved to blow stuff up.
Did he have both his arms still, or
he did.
Some fingers?
He was fully intact at that point. Yeah.
So you went from Good Morning, I was about to say Good Morning Australia, Good Morning America, and you interned. What happened after your internship?
Yeah, so look, this was at a time where things financially weren't great. So it was just before the GFC in 2008. So we're talking around 07. Finished my degree, and then for a while I was back and forth from Cleveland to New York. I was what we call permalance, which is basically they'll call you when they need you.
I said permanent freelance.
Permanent. So they've got their rights to you.
Yeah.
You can't go anywhere else, but you've got no healthcare, none of that. Yeah, it was so American. But that was cool. Like I remember I got calls in the middle of the night. They're like, "There's been a plane crash in Buffalo. Can you go?" I'm like, "Yeah." Just got in the car, drove to Buffalo 3 hours, and like you're grabbing people for interviews. Another one where there was an incident at a school involving guns at a university, and so got middle of the day, got in the car. And this was while I was studying my masters, so I was doing some masters work at Kent State, and I was like really just between places. So I was kind of not homeless, but I was
couch surfing a bit.
Yeah, couch surfing a lot, and then.
What's the distance between New York and Cleveland?
8-hour drive.
Okay.
Yeah, but
the
train's quicker. But they kind of used me for things that were happening between, because they knew there was someone who sort of knew what he was doing, and I would get there, grab people for interviews, and then they would arrive and sort of take over.
Yeah.
But after that, I was a bit more permanent in New York, which was cool living there. It's an amazing city. And I was someone that at that point in my life, I had 3 passports. I've renounced my American one. That's another story. Not for tax purposes.
That's for the second part of the podcast. Stay tuned. I don't know what we'll call it. Not the Scenic route, but the alternative. Anyway, sorry.
Alternative. So I had... things would go on around the world, and I had immediate access to my passports. I had an Austrian, Australian, and American, and I could have had Israeli if I wanted as well. So look, it gave access. So things happened. The Haiti earthquake. Everyone probably remembers that. That was something that we covered.
You went from where were you then? So you went from New York straight down to.
Yeah, we were like one of the second crews there. It was pretty. Not enjoyable experience in a lot of ways. And then this was right at the time of Iraq and Afghanistan. There was a big troop surge, which we covered. This was when Bush announced, I think, something like 250,000 more troops in Iraq in particular.
That is a lot. Think about the number.
I'm pretty sure it was that many.
And I think you're right, 250,000.
Like 08 was when they were still really trying.
That is a lot of people.
Yeah.
That's
and
neat.
This was at a time as well, it was coming to the end of Bush's term, his second term, when the election was coming up between McCain and Obama.
Okay.
So when I was sort of getting back and forth between places, I was actually covering John McCain's movements through Ohio, which was super cool. It's crazy to think how the world would have been different if he had won. So we're getting political here.
Yeah.
But I think it would be very different.
You know more than most people listening.
Yeah.
Like what it meant for America.
Yeah, I mean,
You were voting at that stage too? You don't have to tell us.
Yeah, I voted.
You were voting?
Yeah, I voted. It was the first election I voted in, I think. Yeah. But
how often were you were you with him, and then how often were they sending you somewhere like Iraq or Afghanistan?
No, I just followed. Oh, how often? I went there once.
Okay.
Those places once. That was more than enough. But the election stuff was really cool to be part of, especially because Ohio is a swing state. Basically, whoever wins Ohio wins the election. So the candidates put a lot of effort into Ohio and Iowa and Florida, which we're probably seeing at the moment.
What do they call it? There's something state. Oh, you say swing.
So generally, because the nature of the population, be it African American population who traditionally votes Democrat, if there's a big Latino population, they generally vote Democrat, and then if there's a big rural population, they traditionally vote Republican. That said, all that is out the window now. It's so because now in the States we've got huge numbers of African Americans who align with Trump, whereas a lot of big Latino population align with the Democrats. So it's changed a lot, but it was a very fascinating place to be part of. Yeah.
Now I kind of want to ask you the question about what you think is going to happen this time, but it's not really the podcast for it.
Do you want to ask me anyway?
Yeah. Are you concerned?
Oh, it depends what concern means.
Yeah, okay.
I think a couple of weeks ago, before Kamala Harris became, this is on the record, before Kamala Harris came in, I knew I think everyone knew that Trump was going to run away with it. I still think he's going to win. He's not got momentum now, but you want momentum in late October, not now.
It's scary. I think you're right, momentum-wise.
Yeah, I think they're talking about a debate, and the thing is, it doesn't matter the content of the debate. It doesn't matter. It's just all a big performance, and people are drawn to those catchy little one-liners.
And he's got a lot of those.
He's got a lot of them.
A lot of those. Okay, we better stop there for the talking about politics.
Yeah.
I am intrigued a little bit, and I know this, and stop whatever you want, but you were talking about going to Iraq, Afghanistan. Was there preparation before you went? Did they kind of talk you through it, or were you thrown in the deep end?
Deep end.
How did that?
Yeah, look, you've got some loose preparation in that you know who you're meeting and where. So back then, Baghdad had like a red and a green zone. Red means don't stop. Green means pretty safe. So the airport was a green zone. The American compound where we were doing everything was a green zone, and between that was red, and that was like a 50-kilometer drive. So I remember being like, oh, cool, someone will pick us up in a tank. We get picked up in a tank and driven this 50 Ks, right? That's what I was thinking.
How fast is the tank going to go? 50 Ks then?
But you think, okay, red zone, that protect us. No, old mate shows up in a Toyota Corolla. Just
not a Mazda.
No,
brown sticker.
No, everything there's Toyota. Yeah, and it put us in this Toyota Corolla. I'm like, what is going on? And he goes, in his broken English, he's like, trust me, they're not going to. This is not. Well, no, this isn't going to be a target. Whereas a tank.
Okay.
He's like, you just look like some.
Sure, might prefer the tank.
That's what I thought. So I just remember like looking down at my hands and literally seeing white knuckles, like holding on. But
there's a few times, isn't there? Like when you're in. I was on a bus in Africa. On a face.
Oh,
and it's that same thing of white knuckles. Because you think it's because you're traveling and you think you're going to die. There's a good chance I'm in this vehicle.
Yeah.
And at the moment, this is as close to death as I've probably been. Is that what you're thinking? Or
big time. Yeah, big time. I mean, because it was so I'd never been anywhere like that ever. So it was.
What was the purpose? Was it to chat with troops? Was it to chat with?
Yeah, the right. And this is a hard one. You're sort of sent over with this like loose brief that you need to make something work. And the hard thing is it's constantly changing. Like Bush was there, and he's like,
he was there with
you. Yeah. So was he? Yeah, he was there, and he's making a speech, so you've got to respond to that, but then you've got to cover the troop surge, and then you've got to get the average GI's opinions on the troop surge, and like they don't want to share. Like they're so deliberately quiet and private because they could be put out in front. So it's really hard. You had to build trust, and that's what experienced producers had, is all their network and their contacts, which I just felt like I was tagging along. I just sort of got people.
What an experience! Like sounds like it's not something you'll ever forget.
No, definitely not. I think the turning point for me, should we go to the turning point?
I think I even had a question.
Yeah,
the scenic route often has twists and turns. What's the biggest detour on the journey?
So we're planning other trips, and it got to a point where it got really dangerous for journalists in all of these countries where there's conflict. And they said, oh, look, you need to get kidnapping insurance. And that's like, for me, and so I went through it, I got a premium. And like, to find out exactly what your dollar value is quite humbling. I found out I was worth $100,000. That's it.
Have you checked again and gone,
no.
How am I still inflation? You might be up to 130 now.
It's because I own no property. Yeah. I had no partner, no kids. I didn't even have a permanent job. So to them, I was like, worth nothing. Whereas like if Diane Sawyer went,
it'd be millions.
20, 30 million probably. So that was the turning point. I told my mum, and this was one of the times when my mum was like, maybe time.
Yeah. Mums are great at that.
Yeah,
until you do it, and then you tell them after. I got told I wasn't allowed to go to Zimbabwe,
and then you got that.
I did it, and then when we got out of Zimbabwe to Zambia, I said, "Guess what, Mum? I had to do it."
Well, that would have been under Mugabe.
Yeah, it was not time to do it. No. But it's that thing, isn't it? Your mum brings you back. I think quite a lot. Gives you a bit of perspective of actually, I'm worth way more than 100,000 dollars. 110 at least.
And look, that sort of was linked up with the tail end of the GFC, not getting much more work, struggling to find a foothold there. And look, a lot of that was economically driven. Like now, if it's just timing, all these things are timing. And look, I got some really tough news from home. My dad passed away, and for me, that was like, I think it's time to come back down under.
It is amazing, isn't it? That your body or your mind or whatever just tells you.
Yeah.
I traveled for 10 years, and I was putting the backpack on one time to go to, I think we're in Ecuador.
Yeah.
And I went, I don't really want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And I went, and literally we resigned, came back to Australia a month later. Wow. It was just one of the, it was that.
Just timing.
I think it's timing.
Yeah.
I think, and then if you push on, that's when you hate it. And you start.
And I never got to that point. And I wanted some stability. I was sick of and I talk positively about uncertainty, but I was starting to get a bit over it. And how old was I then? Like 26, 27.
So really old.
Yeah. Well, you start to think, and then I came back to Australia. I worked at Sky News for a little while. I've got a good story if you want.
Yeah, that's what we're here for. Let's do it.
I made the biggest mistake.
Oh, I love it. Here we go. Strap yourself in. We love a mistake. Right? Oh, yeah, you didn't bring a taxi driver in that they said was a...
Oh, I've seen that. He did well.
He did really well. It was the shock in his eyes. Like, huh?
Yeah.
That's not me.
He just... No, this one was... This is 2011. So this was right before I moved into teaching. It's 11 o'clock at night, you do it just on a 10-hour shift, and you're basically typing into an Excel document. It's a tiny font. I got 2 news stories mixed up. Oh, so bad.
This is great. Can we find it somewhere?
I've got a screenshot. So it was Kevin Rudd getting off a plane, and it was, I think, he made that comeback.
Yep.
I think it was for that.
Okay.
Him getting off the plane. And,
that was like a slogan, wasn't it?
Kevin, not 11. This is probably 2011.
Okay.
He was 07. That was
Kevin 07. And then it should have been Kevin, watch out for Mike 11.
Mate, yeah. So it's him. It's footage of him getting off the plane, and on the writing on the screen, you know what it was? Rapist on the loose. I'd gotten 2 news stories mixed up. So that caused a lot of drama. and I got tapped on the shoulder, and they were like, "I don't think this is for you."
Seriously?
Yeah.
That was it?
Well, there was another one.
It's up to you.
Yeah, sure. The opera singer Dame Joan Sutherland died, and we were covering her funeral, and the writing on the screen was Dame Joan Remembered. Instead of writing D-A-L-E, I wrote D-A-M-N. Damn Joan Remembered.
Okay. So someone's physically typing that in.
Yeah, and if you misalign them, it goes to the wrong footage. Like, it's so easy to do.
And would you reckon that's the way it would still be?
Yeah, it's surprisingly basic.
Yeah, okay. So we're getting it. So the what do they call grabs or
No. It depends which station.
Because CNN made it famous, didn't they?
The ticker. That's called the ticker.
The ticker.
Ours was just red writing. Hadn't called it red writing.
So you got canned from Sky News, is that right to use?
Yeah.
From some pretty, I reckon, pretty interesting way. I think you did well with both of them. They're both winners.
I actually show my students that when we talk about attention to detail, and it's all they always get a good laugh.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So you leave Sky. Who was head of Sky then? Is it?
The news director was Ian Ferguson.
So you just waved and then...
I got a job at Apple.
Ah.
So I worked at Apple while I was retraining.
With the skivvy or just...
I was a genius.
Yeah, nice. Well,
of course.
He got the badge. He's worn the badge actually. Saying cheers.
And Apple was what I needed at that point in my life. The skills I learned there are more than so. Yeah, it's the skills I learned there are what I use every day. How to diffuse situations, how to set expectations. Most valuable skills I learned were definitely at Apple when it comes to dealing with people. But so while I was working at Apple, I retrained. There was a 1-year course back then that recognised your prior learning, and
So you got lots of good teachers from that 1-year course.
Yeah, there's a few of us.
No, but just in teachers,
but they don't have it anymore.
I know, but it's such a good thing because someone that's got your skill and has done the university skills you have, that then can get into being a teacher, do that year course, and then they're in teaching their students from the real life experiences that have.
Yeah,
I think
it was such a good course, and it got you straight into the classroom. So I did a prac here, actually, history, Sydney Boys High. Then I did some casual work for a year at St Ives High, Marta Maria, a couple of other private schools, and then they gave me a chance here as an English teacher. I haven't left.
I'm going to ask you one more question.
Yeah, sure.
Because that was perfect, and I think what a journey you've had, the experience. But I'm a massive vinyl fan. I've got a huge collection of vinyl.
Is this like Desert Island Discs?
I would love to do an Australian version of Desert Island Discs, but they do it so well in the UK. If you don't, please, I'll put a link down below. But if you don't, we'll definitely. You should be listening to Desert Island Discs. It is to do with a song choice.
Yeah.
And actually, going back to the vinyl, anyone that has a family, I highly recommend buying a turntable.
Yeah.
Because dinners are made so much easier by putting a record on while you're eating dinner. Because you don't not flicker, you don't have to have your phone.
So
and then your children learn all the good vinyl from beginning to end.
Very
and
true.
then the only time we get up is they fight to who gets to flip the record. But anyway, that's a whole other story. If your career path was a road trip, what would be your theme song? What would be your theme song?
It's funny. It's a really good question.
So that's our end question.
It's just, I need time to think about it. Okay. So look, the music, I guess I got to think the music I grew up with was old school.
Not Paul McCartney. He's one of my
Al Jolson. I grew up on Al Jolson and Joseph Schmidt. And my dad loved the 20s, 30s and 40s. Okay.
You've got one. I can feel it.
I do. It's coming. I just forgotten his name. You know what? I'm going to go with Kenny Rogers, The Gambler.
Yes. What a song.
Yeah.
What a song.
That's what I'm going to go
How's
with.
it start? Oh, we got the beginning. What?
One dark and dark in the evening, if they were about to take something like that.
Yeah, you've done well.
I think because that song, it's about taking chances. It's about knowing when to be quiet.
That's the song.
Yeah,
It
is. It's about like
when to fold them, when to hold them.
to walk away.
Yeah. And
Story of my life.
Fantastic. Well, thank you.
Pleasure, mate.
Mate, it's fun. Legend.